I need you to understand something before we start. I don't hate adaptations. I don't hate modern retellings. I don't hate sex in movies. What I hate is when a film takes one of the most complex novels ever written, slaps a pretty aesthetic on it, adds random sex scenes, miscasts the two leads, and then has the audacity to call itself Wuthering Heights. This is not just a bad adaptation. It's a misunderstanding of the source material at a fundamental level. I just watched the new Wuthering Heights movie and I have a lot of things to say. And trust me, I tried to sit with it before filming this. I tried to be calm, I tried to be reasonable. It didn't work. Let me start with this. The book is one of my favorite books of all time. I genuinely believe it's one of the most complex, layered, brutal stories ever written. And I also genuinely believe it's extremely difficult to adapt. Not impossible, but difficult. There are things I hated, choices that made me physically uncomfortable, creative decisions that felt either lazy or deliberately provocative for no reason. There are a few things that I liked, and we'll get there, but overall, I just have questions, a lot of questions. Let's start with the positives, because yes, there are some. The movie looks stunning. Visually, it's beautiful. It's well shot. The cinematography is doing the heavy lifting. The framing, the lighting, the landscape, all of that works. Emerald Fennell knows how to direct and knows how to create atmosphere. I wasn't worried about that going in. I loved Promising Young Woman. I think she captured feminine rage in a very sharp way, in a very true way. And I'm actually planning a whole video on that because I think that film understood its tone perfectly. I had problems with Saltburn, but I didn't hate it. So technically speaking, I wasn't shocked that she did well. The soundtrack by Charlie XCX is probably the strongest creative choice in the entire project. And it works. It gives the film personality, it gives it edge, and honestly, without it, the movie will feel even flatter. And yes, Margot and Jacob did a good job. They were great. I walk into the theater already knowing that the performances wouldn't be the weak point. And that's kind of the issue. Because when the acting is good, the cinematography is good, the soundtrack is good, the direction is good, that's when you know the problem is structural. Let's just say it. This is a massive case of miscasting. For both of them. Margot Robbie is a phenomenal actor. She's magnetic, she commands the screen. But she is too old to play Kathy. Catherine Earnshaw is immature, impulsive, spoiled, cruel in a childish way. You're not supposed to like her. You're not supposed to excuse her. The problem with casting Margot in this is when Kathy acts spoiled, irrational, immature, it's supposed to make sense because of her age. Youth gives you the freedom to push her into being unlikable without it feeling ridiculous. When a teenager behaves selfishly, it's messy, but it's understandable. When a grown woman behaves that way, it becomes exhausting. Every time Margot acted bratty, instead of thinking she's young and destructive, I was thinking, you are way too old to be acting this way. It completely changes the dynamic. This story depends on the idea that Kathy and Heathcliff grew up together. But I never believed that they shared a childhood. I never believed that they shared history. I mean, she did a good job because she's Margot Robbie, she's good, but she was miscast and it completely took me out of the story. Jacob is a good actor. I loved him in Frankenstein. I think his Oscar nomination is totally deserved. But why couldn't they cast someone who actually looked the part? Casting a white man strips away layers of social tension that are literally embedded in the text. Heathcliff is treated as an inferior, foreigner. That's who he is. That's central to his character. Kathy's brother in the book and in the film, Kathy's father treats him with open disrespect, also because he's not white. In this day and age, there is no excuse for erasing that dimension. I know what Fennel said about the way she perceived Heathcliff while reading this book, but I don't care. If you read the book and imagine a white man when it's stated that it's not, I'll admit to it, not so openly, well, that's on you. Again, I love him. I think he's a great actor. I just don't think that this was a part made for him. I don't mind retellings. I don't mind reinterpretations. You want to modernize a classic? Go ahead. But if you change the setting, if you change the characters, the tone, the core themes, and then you keep the name, that's marketing, that's not an adaptation. If you're going to radically reshape the material, at least commit to building a coherent world. The scenography felt inconsistent. The costume felt confused. It was like the film couldn't decide if it wanted to be a period piece, a contemporary piece, or a Pinterest board. Don't flirt with an idea, just commit to it. I was sitting there thinking, where are we? What the fuck is happening? And why is everybody horny all the time? So let's talk about it. The sex. When the movie started, I had to physically stop myself from laughing. What was the point of that opening scene? To shock us? Because if that is the goal, it felt desperate. To establish the world? Because if that is the goal, and it failed completely. I don't understand the world these characters live in. The only thing I understood was that in this world, everybody's horny. That was it. I don't have a problem with sex or nudity in a film. One of my favorite films is Love by Gaspar Noé. And if you watch the film, you know you can't have problem with nudity or sex. But the older I get, and the more I work in the film industry, the more I question the necessity of sex scenes. Most of the time, they are there just for shock values. Or maybe because there is a hot actor involved in the project and people are weird about him. I'm not a prude, but sex has to reveal something. Here it felt repetitive, performative. At some point, it stops feeling provocative and starts feeling empty. Shock without substance gets old. Fast. Really fast. Wuthering Heights is not a love story. It's a story about obsession, power, revenge, emotional violence, generational trauma. Catherine and Heathcliff are not romantic soulmates. They are mirrors of each other's worst instinct. Reducing all of this to a kinky, toxic lovers completely flattens the depth of the novel. It turns a psychological study into just chaos, a good looking chaos. And again, if you want to tell a story about two people obsessed with each other in a sexual and destructive way, then do it. It's a great movie. But why call it Wuthering Heights? Why not give it another name? You can't be mad when people expect at least something that resembles the book. If this was meant to be a rewrite and not an adaptation, then I don't think it's even a good one. If you put aside the whole adaptation aspect of it, I don't think it's a well-written movie. That's it. And again, Kathy and Heathcliff's story is not a love story. Is this a good Wuthering Heights adaptation? No. Is it a good movie? I don't really think so. It's not offensively bad, it's just hollow. It feels like aesthetic or substance, and if you enjoyed it, I don't really care. You're free to feel and have an opinion. I didn't. I know it doesn't feel like it, but I don't hate this film. I don't hate it, but I'm disappointed. Because there are a lot of talented people in this project. And ultimately, disappointment hits harder than hate. I don't hate this movie, I just expected more. And when you adapt a masterpiece, more is the bare minimum.